Hello there. I felt like the earlier clip was a little short shrift. Felt like it was a little bit too, unceremoniously concluded. I did have to go up a really big climb. Unicoi Gap. It's funny. You go like 1,000 feet down into the gap itself, and then you got to go 1,000 feet back up. And I got to tell you, both are certainly formidable, as Stromae would say. Formidable. It's a very steep up. It's a very steep down. And it's a perfect day to do it, honestly. This is premium hiking right here. Like, it's just so mild, like the conditions, it's certainly not cold unless you're just standing around, and it's certainly not hot unless you're going up a hill, which is very shortly thereafter, attenuated by the general pleasantness. I guess you could describe it as balmy, but it's really only balmy if you're in motion. But I was just walking, I got some time on my hands, perhaps you know. I've got about 6.2 miles left to get to the rendezvous point with my dad, who will, funny enough, be driving my own car, my own Telsa, to pick me up in. So I guess we'll have to decide who's actually driving back. I don't know if he necessarily prefers. Well, Dad, you tell me. What do you think? Is it all things considered, do you like your truck better, or do you like the RAV4? I mean, I guess that's a stupid question, because if you liked the RAV4 better, you'd probably have a RAV4 and not a truck, huh? So I'll consider that matter squashed. But yeah, man, I'll tell you, first of all, I was just listening to a song by this guy named Guthrie Govan. If you're any kind of person who enjoys musical virtuosos, and specifically if you have a penchant for guitarists, I would highly recommend looking up Guthrie Govan. He's amazing. Like, he really is a musical savant. Like, he can play like any style. He knows music theory like it's his first language. Let's put it like that. Like, I think he might actually have more difficulty conveying things through English than he would through music. And it really comes across. That's kind of one of the things I like most about instrumental music, is just the I guess maybe the interpretability of it. And also, there's obviously a lot of proficiency that I certainly am fond of, because I know these people put in a lot of time. I was also listening to, conversely, Ariana Grande earlier, because there's a song called Thank You Next, that actually, it came on my shuffle, but the first time I ever heard that song was on the Appalachian Trail in 2019, and although I think the song is great, I definitely don't think that Ariana Grande, I think it was just coincidentally, I think she's a manufactured pop star, like, they're like, okay, you've got a pretty face, you've been on TV, like, we can teach you how to do vibrato, and then, auto-tune can take care of the rest, like, it's just like, it's what would you call it? It's disposable music. Like, it's good. It's like having a little, like, small, one of those small, what are they just called? Suckers? Oh, yum-yums? Dum-dums. Yum-yums. I think this is where I camped back in 2022. No, that can't be right. No, not here. Was it here? I don't think it was here. There was somewhere close to here. Doesn't matter. Different gap. Just past Addis Gap. But yeah, listening to Guthrie Govan is like going to a Michelin 5-star restaurant, or even if that's how they do it, 4-star. I don't know. It's like having some good food. Thoughtfully created from plate to fork, my dude. But yeah, I just love this one song called Rhode Island Shred that Guthrie Govan makes, and it's kind of like a twangy, kind of honky-tonky kind of song, and honestly, it's not a genre that I enjoy otherwise. I just like hearing him do it, because it sounds like he's having fun. It's like, at some point in his musical career, he took an interest in playing like that, and he found out how to do it, and to put his own style into it as well, and it's just like, dude, it just makes me happy to listen to, because for what it's worth, this is my closest analog to that kind of, at least for myself, pathetic offering, Like, I'm not really particularly good at anything, especially things that, like most human beings, let me just say it like this. Like most human beings, the things that I'm actually good at are vastly outnumbered by the things that I am not good at, plus the things that I have no interest in doing. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I am definitively average, which I think is a good thing. And, just happen to have a little bit more of a ability to do this specific thing. So it's like slightly elevated experientially for me and prioritized and optimized for. But yeah, so I ended up walking after going down Unicoi Gap. There was a woman who I didn't even get her name, but hey, shout out to you if you're listening. Apologies for not asking, but hey, some of the best conversations in my life, that the one you and I had notwithstanding, I never got the people's name until the very end, if at all. You kind of flitter in and out of people's lives, especially on trails like this. She was just going for a day hike. But yeah, we had quite a conversation. Like, as you might imagine, a little bit about AI. I'm spreading the gospel, trying to figure out the most palatable and charismatic way to pitch my techno-optimism so that people aren't put off by the mere mention that I'm an enthusiast. And not only that, but I welcome any and all questions and critiques. I'm trying to figure it out too. I have a friend who I've mentioned before. Maybe he'll listen one day. Maybe he's listening right now. And we've been having a conversation about AI. But that one, I don't know. It's kind of like the same reason you don't lend your friends money. Like it's just like there should be some, there doesn't have to be, but I should say the misgivings I have towards that conversation are strictly due to the fact that we're friends, and I'm just like, damn dude, we put in decades of time knowing each other, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to highlight the fact that out here, with pretty much every person who I've had an extended conversation with, AI has been mentioned, but I think it's good practice for me to be able to figure out how to, not only just refine the presentation, but to kind of organize the perspective, if this, then that, kind of logical trees. I will say, it has been a hilly day, right now included. I think, based on my brief look this morning, I think today might be the most elevation gain I've had so far, which is in the low 5,000s. So nothing crazy, but certainly a bit more, about 1,000 feet more than the days that have preceded it. So, just another thing that makes it fun. According to my calculations, I should be at the rendezvous point at 4:30, or at least thereabouts. I think, I should probably say I hope that going to the gap, something becomes more consistently easy. Either a consistent downhill, a consistent flat, and in general, I would prefer it to not be an uphill, but going up to a gap as it is, it's either going to be, most likely, a downhill or an uphill. And again, this gap is a road crossing, and regardless of the road crossing, it seems like every time on the Appalachian Trail that you cross a paved road, that means that you have descended to the road and that you must ascend from it. So, it's funny because the paved roads are honestly your lifeline out here, and they're the things that connect you back to town, civilization, supplies, food, medical attention, etc. But they if you're not immediately taking advantage of them, then you're basically just being briefly tempted and then immediately punished by the landscape. But hey, that's the AT is a cruel mistress, my dude. I mean, in so much as a mistress can be cruel without you deciding to leave them, because there are breaking points. You don't want to just endure misery for misery's sake. You got to get something out of the deal. And I will say, the Appalachian Trail delivers in that respect. You do eventually get something, and because it's an infrequent reward schedule, usually it's pretty intoxicating when you finally get the thing that you wanted the most, whatever it may be. So yeah, basic Pavlovian psychology, my dude. We're all just out here, biological machines, fulfilling destiny, really, fate. So for the last clip, I always get really excited when I make a podcast clip, because I'm like, I wonder how Notebook LM is going to interpret this, and how many caveats they're going to give, how many insightful points they'll have, how many new turns of phrase they might come up with. Oh, damn. No end in sight. The one good thing about climbing, the act of doing it, is that you're not dreading having to do it necessarily in the future. As I'm doing this, I'm like, well, this climb is definitely steep and long, but I have to do 5,000 feet. So if this is a significant portion of that 5,000 feet, then I'm actively doing it right now, which means once I finally do get to the top, I'm done with that much more, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy to that end. But anyway, what was I talking about? Notebook LM. Yeah, and they mentioned something that I thought was very interesting, and specifically the way in which they phrased it I thought was most interesting, because they were saying that the thing that I'm really tapping into and exhibiting in these clips is kind of like a prolonged flow state that is brought about through simply moving your body, right? So a flow state, as far as science is concerned, oh, by the way, I very much so agree with this. So I was keen to listen to that twice so that I could understand the mechanisms of what was going on here. So basically, when you were doing a repetitive task that requires a small amount of focus, but also is a repetitive thing that requires attention, then basically you switch off what is called your default mode network, I believe, inside of your brain, and you become more engaged with whatever your activity is, whatever you're doing. That's kind of the beginning of the flow state. It's I'm scanning the ground, trying to find the best line so I can walk without tripping. And because I'm doing that, my body, everything is tasked with a certain level of awareness I can't just like blindly walk. I have to pay attention. But it's not so difficult. It's not like a calculus problem. So there's a section of my brain that actually becomes open, more of a subconscious, maybe intuitive part, certainly more primitive and primal. And so basically, I want to get this phrasing right, but as soon as you key into the mechanical part of this, which starts the flow state, then you enter what they called what was it? Oh my God, it was so cool. I was like, I've never heard those words before. Man, it was something like frontal, I want to say frontal lobotomy, but that's not right. It was a transient hypocortical, I don't know, Notebook LM saved me here. I need to look it up again. I listened to it twice just to hear those words, but I missed it again. Darn. But yeah, basically, whatever that word is that I can't remember, it signifies that, like, you basically stop worrying about things, like, because your attention is focused on something, it kind of turns down the volume for your limbic system and everything that, like, determines risk and can create sensations of anxiety or fear. And then you're free to think about anything, and that's why thoughts kind of just bubble up from some other place. It's almost like you're just a receiver for them, not even necessarily the author, and that is the thing I like most about being out here. It's accessing that space. I think as a kid I spent a lot of time in that space, biking and walking, and as I've mentioned many times, just so happened to find my way through a friend, shout out to Ben, Spider Legs, happened to find my way to the Appalachian Trail, which was kind of like the ultimate venue for the expression of chasing that flow state. Not even necessarily chasing it, more cultivating it. I know that for a large portion of my day, if everything's going well, especially plenty of food, plenty of water, vibes are good, weather's not too bad, you can easily out here dip into that flow state and really let your mind wander, make, unique connections among your memories. When I was walking with that woman after Unicoi, I was saying that it was Ari at home, this little white kid from New York City, that kind of made me realize would be a good practical explanation as to, like, why race is an artificial construct. Again, propping up any group of people is dangerous because there's a cholera, what the hell, what do you call those things? Well, let's say there is a connected relationship when you either elevate or denigrate a group of people. It makes it seem like their humanity is at stake, and no one's humanity is ever actually at stake. We have all the same hardware, we're all just running slightly different versions of software, and so artificial construct that is only as powerful as your belief in it, like all other ideas. Again, I think the idea of race in general is certainly one that will give way to something better. I mean, if nothing else, AI will certainly make it more of a fuzzy line that really deserves no mention. When you have another type of thing on this earth that can do something like what human beings can, then all of a sudden the definition of what a human is a lot more clear, because we finally have another piece of data to contrast ourselves against. So that's cool. And yeah, I took a break at about 1 o'clock, which was nice. I've kind of determined that my pace out here is just about 17-minute miles. I haven't really pored over the statistics because I don't really care, and I don't want to get too obsessed over it. But since I'm on a mission today, I did decide that I wanted to make sure that my break for lunch sacrificed no more than a mile's worth of progress. So I had a nice little 17-minute lunch, ate a bunch of food, and feeling good. Starting to get a little rainy out here, so yet again, the trail's not allowing me to go on for any length, but 21 minutes. I can feel satisfied with that for the day. So yeah, it's still Sunday the 8th, and I don't know what time it is, but it doesn't really matter. So for now, I'll leave it there. Well, I did have one more thought. I was thinking I'd pass these people after my lunch, and it seemed like they were fairly new to the whole thing. I mean, most people are out here. I don't try to take that for granted. But I was just thinking as I passed them, like, I kind of envy them, you know? Like, the degree to which I can continue to optimize my experience out here has, like, vanishingly small impact on my actual experience, you know? Like, I think, all things considered, like, the degree to which things could fundamentally change out here for me would probably just be a matter of, like, 5% change compared to what I'm currently doing, you know? If I had all ultralight gear, that would be a pretty big game changer. But outside of that, like, it's kind of hard to imagine how much more stuff there is for me to do out here that would really strengthen my hiking game, you know? I'm pretty satisfied with the place everything's at. And so yeah, I look at those people and I'm like, oh, like, you know, in the moment, this is probably, like, technically speaking, the worst part of the experience for them, because they have to make all of the decisions and face all the consequences with, like, you know, limited information. These are the early days of their experimentation of how to survive out here doing this. So a lot of painful things, but they will grow to love those things. That transformation from ignorance to being informed, that feeling of competency, deserved and earned competency, is intoxicating. Once you finally achieve it, it's like, oh, cool. I can just, like, enjoy myself now. Like, I know how to do all the stuff, and now I can just have fun in the woods, you know? That's pretty cool. So I'm happy for those people. It's unfortunate because it's really not something you can appreciate until after the fact, but I'm glad to see people are putting in the work. So with that, I will leave it there for now. This climb is insane. I can't believe I'm not at the top yet. Love you, bye.